All right. Season greetings to you, brother Andy Michelle. Season greetings to you and the family, right? And we happy that you make it mystic sensation. All right. Without any delay, I want for you to just, give us a brief introduction of who Andy Michelle is.
My name is Andy Michelle, born and bred in a place called Gauteng in South Africa. Born some many moons ago and many rains ago. I am the only child to my mom and my dad. My dad passed away in 1978. I was brought up by my grandmother in 1984. She passed on. She couldn't read or write, but she encouraged me to read a lot, as you see the books in my background. I remember now, I have told Will this story a million times. I remember now when I reflect that my grandmother used to hold the newspaper upside down, and she was reading for me, and it touches me deeply and moves me greatly to realize that some African people have what it takes to work on the mind of a child and craft out something or someone better than them. And I learned a few years ago, listening to T.D. Jakes, that his parents threw him 150 meters away, and he threw his children 300 meters away. I am fortunate that I was thrown a kilometer away from my grandmother. You can imagine when both my father and my grandmother passed away. My pillars of strength disappeared, and I have had to face many dangers. I have had to go through the jungles of life and kill many lions. Like I always say, we human beings, particularly human beings like you and I, always dance with the lion, whether we like it or not. We do the cha-cha-cha, we do the rumba, we do the Brazilian street dance with the lion on a daily basis. And fast forward, past my school and past college and past university, on the sidelines of life, I have always been a warrior. Will knows this story too, that my grandfather was a general in the Moshweshwe. I am a Mosotho. I am of the Bakwena clan. A Kwena is a crocodile. So I am he who looks after the crocodiles. I can see all of you that you look like me. Maybe some of you are Batawung, those who look after the lions. There are others that we call the Bafokeng, the Jew people. Jew like in the Jew from the atmosphere, not Jew like Jews from Israel. No. It is very important that we cover that background because it makes us who we are.
I think it's important for you to let the audience know about your struggles with apartheid, because then they get a fuller sense of who the man is. You're just not a strategist, you're not an academic, but you're also a warrior in the truest sense of the word. So you can tell us about what happened to your dad, what happened to you.
Way back in 1948, my grandfather was going through a white town called Randfontein, which is about 10 kilometers away from here. And him being a black person got a beating, a hiding of his life that crippled him, that saw him perish as a result of his injuries in 1952. Fast forward to 1959, my grandmother was asked to leave to a rural part of the country called Moedorpi, a so-called beautiful town. And the reason for my grandmother to be asked to leave that municipal house was that women by then were not allowed to live by themselves in the house. So you always had collaborators, those who were chiefs, for the want of a better word, who were councillors, for the want of a better word, collaborating to make sure that women were bearing the brunt of the war. That's how my grandmother got kicked out of the house. My grandmother struggled from 1959. Some of us were born in the 60s. My grandmother passed on in 1984, being a wanderer. My dad was also incarcerated in Robben Island. In 1984, I was detained in the state of emergency. It was when we rendered this country ungovernable because some of us believe in the equality of Africans being on the same par with those of Europeans, or should I rather say European descendants, those who came into the world and declared people who were living in Jamaica as rebels, those who didn't want to toe the line. We would not have toed the line because we are equal to any other race. We are equal to any other, should I say, tribe, for the want of a better word. We are told that we are black people. I'm not a black person. I'm an African. I used to have black hair. It's now turned gray. That's why you see me with a chiscop. Chiscop means bald head and well shaven. I haven't really internalized the whiteness of on the face and on the head. So
All right.
that's why. Yeah. Long story short, we get told that we are black people and we know that we are Africans, and some of us never internalize that concept of black. I don't look like a black person, and I'm not seeing any of you looking black. You look brown or light skinned like any other person. I know there are people who look black. One of them is a friend of mine who was operating for Interpol in Kenya. He was black like in a black shoe polish. That part of the world, people who come from there, some of them look black. Yeah, those are black people. Unfortunately, I haven't reached that stage in my life. I have tried my level best to look black. I've always remained light skinned. So long story short, I got detained and I spent a sizable amount of time. And one night whilst I was detained, there's this guy who was called Prime Evil. You know him well, Eugene de Kock. Eugene de Kock and some 3 white people took us in a 16-seater combi. We were taken out to a field. It was around midnight, and I was requested. I was still very skinny. They threw out a hubcap through the passenger window, and I was requested to go and pick up that hubcap.
Let people know that a combi is like an SUV, an extent like a VW SUV, and a felt is like a field.
Yeah, you're correct. And I was asked to go and pick up that hubcap in the dark dead of the dark night, and I refused. I said to them, if you kill me, just shoot me here so that all the other 15 people in that SUV can tell my parents, can tell my people what actually happened. And that guy turned and like I did, and stuck a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger twice. I'm grateful to Allah. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to the power that transcends both time and space for getting that gun to jam in my mouth. And he actually said, your God is great. From that moment on, I saw the beauty of life. I saw the beauty of God. I know that my grandmother was praying for me, was watching over me in heaven, because I used to go to church every Sunday until my grandmother passed on. That's how I survived, and I decided to intensify my involvement in the war against injustice, against apartheid.
As I said, we really appreciate a little bit of history there, and you know, your love for Black culture, because I can see that coming out of you, right? We know as it relates to, right, the neo-colonialists, right, how they can be, right? So we are going to get into some stuff here, right? So Andy, let me say this. We are thankful for the wealth of knowledge that you have and what you bring to this platform tonight. And so what we're going to do, we are going to discuss as it relates to our criminal justice system as opposed to your criminal justice system. And of course, some of the application that you will use to make our justice system better. And I hope that, you know, I am speaking particularly to the opposition, not the incumbent, because the incumbent, right, have no interest, right, as it relates to good governance, checks and balance, accountability, transparency, and integrity. So this discussion is for all Jamaicans, right? And particularly, we are going to give a mandate, right, tonight to the opposition to utilize that mandate. So where I want to take you, Andy, I am going to show you the powers of the DPP and what is fundamentally wrong with that DPP. Now, we are doing also a constitution reform, right? And so then we have the opportunity to zoom in on the DPP authority. But let me just take you through that, right? And hear your opinion as it relates to the DPP. Let us get back to that document, the role of the Office of the Director of the Prosecution. So we are going to roll back the curtain again for you, Andy, and because let me okay, yes. So here's the document, Andy, the role of the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is created by Section 94 of the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council 1962, hereinafter referred to as the Constitution. The office is described as a public office. Further, Section 94, subsection 2, sets out the qualification of the Director of the Public Prosecution, hereinafter referred to as the DPP, but stipulating that the order of the office should be equivalent to a judge of the Supreme Court of Judicature. Now, Section 94, subsection 3, prescribes the powers of the DPP, which are as follows. So Section 94, subsection 3A, right, said to institute and undertake criminal proceedings against any persons before any court order than a court-martial in respect of any offense against the law of Jamaica. Section 94, 3B, to take over the continue, right, any such criminal proceedings that may have been instituted by any other person or authority, right? 94, subsection 3C, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered at any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person, right, or authority. So let us take that away and let us ask Andy this question. So Andy, my question to you, sir, right? That sort of power that embedded on the DPP by our constitution, right, to me is giving her the ultimate power. Do you believe that the DPP should have some form of checks and balance as it relates to an oversight committee in terms of not having the free will, right, at her will to dismiss any case that she wants to dismiss? What is your say on that?
First and foremost, the Constitution becomes the supreme law. The Constitution of Jamaica must look after the welfare of the people of Jamaica. First things first. Number two, it must have instruments that will effect it, like Section 94. In South Africa, it's Section 9 of the South African Constitution of 1995, amended or improved upon 1996, something around like that. Number three, it is important that the rule of law should find expression through your criminal justice cluster, your policing, your prosecution, your incarceration, and your rehabilitation. Number four, it is critical that those who are tasked with the responsibility to initiate prosecution after arresting, after combating crime, meaning after investigating crimes and finding that there is prima facie evidence that stands to can be put before the court of law for a judge or a magistrate to apply his or her mind in on the matter of crime, in on the matter of wrongdoing, should be done by people whose mind are sound and sober, people who have no bias, people who are not corrupted, people who are not compromised, people who are not wolves in sheep's skin, who would give you the impression that they are for justice, only to realize that they operate what you call selective justice or selective or convenient morality. So the DPP should be able to decide on a number of matters that would constitute crime in the eyes of the people of Jamaica. And both you and I know that crime has a few elements. One of them would be opportunity, one of them would be intention, one of them would be the wherewithal, one of them would be action. So if and when there are elements of crime, the Director of Public Prosecutions, as inspired and motivated by Section 94 of the Constitution of Jamaica and those subsection 3 that you mentioned as you were briefing me, would have to kick in only and only if that individual is fit enough to can apply a sound mind that is informed and driven by justice. Anything opposite to what I say does not qualify that office or the incumbent in that office should be regarded as a director of public prosecutions.
Okay. I like that. So basically, right, in terms of what I'm hearing from you, right, that there should be some checks and balance system as it relates to maybe having an oversight committee, right? So to when the DPP, right, made a decision, and if there is any issues relating to that, that committee should, check it and to make sure that that decision was sound as it relates to law. But on Rattigan's program last week, right, you spoke about legislative framework that geared towards the IC being an independent prosecutor. Can you highlight for us the benefit of such program, right, in your country in terms of the prosecution rate of corrupted individuals?
We had what we call the Zondo Commission. The Zondo Commission was a commission established in terms of the law that dealt with those who were corrupt, as those who were accused of capturing the state for personal gain and for financial gain. There was a family called the Guptas. Whether they captured the state for personal gain or not remains a subject of serious debate amongst the people of South Africa. There are those who are saying the playing field was being leveled, was being equalized, because a part of the argument was that there have been companies that have green contracts. A green contract is a contract that does not expire. When I die, my children take over, and they were benefiting from the Electricity Supply Commission of South Africa. So I have listened to debates that say the Guptas came and they changed the conditions, operating conditions in that space, and therefore were accused of capturing the state for financial gain by corrupting a few individuals and officials working for these companies. That has been the debate. Subject to that, a commission was established. That commission looked at corruption that was allegedly committed by the individuals and the officials that I referred to, and some families that I referred to, like I referred to the Gupta family. Fast forward, a few days ago, we said, I think 2 weeks back, we said at a national dialogue against corruption, and some proposals were put forward for the establishment of the Office of Public Integrity, OPI, and I shared on Will's program last week. You get a better understanding of the Office of Public when you look throughout the world. You look at South Australia and you realize what the public Office of Public Integrity means, and its role, which has to do with corruption, fighting corruption and maladministration, and including money laundering and transnational organized crime, being aided by officials, being aided by individuals who work on your border posts or your ports of entry, facilitating the easy access of Chinese into South Africa and all other nationalities into our country for the benefit of money into their pockets, or luxurious SUVs and many of those things. So this OPI that has been proposed would speak to these issues of corruption and maladministration, and advise the people, advise the president of the country as a result, so that laws can be put forward quicker for the prosecution of those who are accused of committing corruption. The cases, the state capture cases, have gone on only now. It has been a very tedious, long-winded process that has not yielded serious results on that space. And we are hoping that some people would be prosecuted as a result of that. So long story short, that process of the what I would equate to the Integrity Commission in Jamaica has not yielded results. Is it as a result of zero absence of laws? No. Is it as a result of slowness in or lack of appetite in those who are driving the processes? Yes. We saw the Zondo Commission, which had the same powers as the powers that you mentioned in Section 94 of your Constitution, that says it is equal to the Supreme Court or something of that nature. The Zondo Commission had the same powers that would refer to an individual to jail, like they did with the former President Jacob Zuma, by referring his matter to the Constitutional Court, which incarcerated him without trial. You and I saw the country burning in 2021 and trucks being banned as a result of people that said, you can't send someone to jail without trial. So long story short, the success rate of your Zondo Commission, your Office of Public Integrity have not yielded results yet. It's a learning process. And I am happy to say some of the lessons we know, and we have listened to people talk to us about best practice in the world. And we also know that there are worst practices in the world. And I have said, when we were discussing earlier on, I don't want to learn of the worst practices in Jamaica that we are seeing with regard to the Integrity Commission and the fight that's going on between the Prime Minister and the Integrity Commission. Should I say the Toothless Integrity Commission, or should I say the Commission with a bite? We are neither here nor there, but we are looking at situations where those who have committed crime in Jamaica, like in South Africa, should be subjected to instruments of the law that would ensure that there's justice. Once again, the establishment of the Office of Public Integrity is one of the things that have been proposed by the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council that advises the president, or that advises Parliament. Obviously, this OPI would be reporting to Parliament. When it sees the light of day, it would be equal to the Section 9 institution. A Section 9 institution in Jamaica would be a Section 94 institution, like your DPP, like your public protector, like your special investigations unit, and many of them.
Okay. All right. I'm going to guide you through a process. We are going to go get into an investigation. And let me just give you a background. Right. We have a non-banking entity by the name of SSN, where it has established that the Prime Minister has an account in SSL. The Integrity Commission investigators discovered that the Prime Minister...
Are those the people that stole Usain Bolt's money?
Yes. Yes, we are discussing them right now. So what had happened, the Integrity Commission had discovered that 143,000 US dollars, right, was, leave from SSL and deposited into one of the Prime Minister's 28 accounts. The Prime Minister has 28 accounts. So, Andy, I want you to be aware of that, right? Where $143,000 went into this account. And prior to the $143,000 went into the account, the Prime Minister take out that account with $0. $0. Now, it gets worse than this. We have over 200 persons, investors, right? Money being stolen, right? The total amount is 3 billion plus. A lot of money. Now, the finance minister, right, tried to defend the Prime Minister in terms of all sort of anti-panky. We call it anti-panky by not doing the right thing. One of the things that he said that FBI was going to investigate. Now, we found out that that was a lie. There is no FBI investigating. Now, he spent a lot of money, right, get an outside forensic expert, which is Crawl, to come and investigate. Now, Crawl came, investigated the situation, corroborating with FID, the Financial Investigation Department in Jamaica. And they did a comprehensive report right, and gave it to the DPP. However, the DPP sits on that report. Also, that report recommended for persons to be charged. As we speak, Andy, no one has been charged. I am going to give you insight of the report. I'm going to give you insight of lies that the Minister of Finance told Jamaican people, that persons are getting back their money, which is a lie. So I'm going to get into that report for Jamaica to see it, right? And then we break it down without any delay. Let us bring up this consolidated, updated report. So I like to give you a backdrop before we get into the report. Now, Andy, bear in mind that the fight for the DPP to return is for this particular case to be quashed. All that centers around the fight for the DPP extension is about this particular case, the SSL case. This SSL case has a lot of threads. It is going to reveal as it relates to the Prime Minister, if he has a profile account. It is going to reveal other persons who may have been benefited. As we know, Andy, only the Prime Minister of Jamaica had benefited from SSL on 3 different occasions. Only the Prime Minister had benefited. All the other investors, as we know it, right, had lost their money. So let us get into the report. Now, here it is. The fraud at Stocks and Security Limited is of public interest. The Financial Investigation Division has reported that the fraudulent schemes are now estimated to have affected over 200 accounts, and the extent of the fraud exceeds $3 billion in value. SSL was a boutique wealth management firm with assets that represented approximately 0.6% of consolidated financial sector assets. At the time the fraud came to public attention, SSL had custody of approximately $30 billion of client assets as a part of SSL off-balance sheet portfolio. There have been periodic updates from the entities managing the winding down of SSL, the transfer of its client balances to accounts designated by clients, and the investigation into the fraud. However, some members of the public have requested a consolidated update, which I now provide in this release from updates provided to me by the FSC, the FID, and the temporary manager. So we are going to show the level of dishonesty that Nigel Clark reported in this report. Now, here it is, 2.2, right? Let us look at 2.2, transfer of local securities. Transfer began in September as at April 16, 24. Now, hear what the Minister of Finance said. Bulletin point number 1. 1,230 clients' accounts totaling approximately 15.37 billion of local equity and fixed income securities were transferred to the account specified by these clients. Now, Andy, this is a lie. We have investigated. This is a lie. Bulletin point number 2. Jamaican dollar cash of approximately 665 million for 338 clients has been paid over to these clients. And I am telling you, again, this is a lie. Therefore, a total of 16.35 billion in approximately 70%, right, of Jamaican dollar denominated assets in SSL off-balance sheet portfolio have now been transferred to clients. Again, this is a lie that Nigel Clark told. Jamaican dollar denominated assets, including Jamaican equity and fixed income security and Jamaican dollar cash, for the remaining Jamaican dollar securities totaling 7.6 billion in value, the temporary manager is pursuing an agreement with a trust company for the en bloc transfer of these remaining Jamaican dollar assets, which will be held by the trust company in custody for clients. More details will be provided once this agreement is finalized. SSL continues to process requests to transfer available cash balances, right? Clients are required to submit their requests, including payment details, to the service team. All of this, Andy, is a lie that Nigel Clark came out and told people. Now, Usain Bolt, who had lost most of the money, right, had not seen a dollar. Let me express that. Usain Bolt, as we speak, has not seen $1 from the millions of dollars that he had lost and the millions invested, right? Not $1 Usain Bolt had seen. Let us progress to the investigation, just to wrap up this and get to other. Let us look at the investigation, right, Andy? Let us look at the investigation. Here is Nigel Clark. As I mentioned in my open budget presentation in March 2023 and again in March 2024, with respect to the investigation into SSL, the policy position of the government is that we will make available whatever resources are required to ensure a thorough, fair, complete, and independent investigation. That is a lie. The Jamaican government, right, put all the predicament, right, for us to not have a fair investigation into this matter, right? They block it in every way and every regards and tell lie. We will also leave no stone unturned. Now Nigel Clark had gone and leave SSL in turmoil. Follow the evidence wherever it may lead and seek international assistance. Now let us look at this now, Andy. This is the policy that has been implemented. As previously updated, Crowd Associates UK Limited, a renowned international investigation firm, was engaged to undertake an independent forensic audit to understand the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stocks and Security Limited over the period 2010 to 2023. The company was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because its vast experience given the complexity of the matter. The volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by the SSL network of companies. The Crowd team, I want you to pay attention to this, Andy. The Crowd team, working with the support of the government agencies, including the FID and FSC, utilized technology, data analytics, and forensic expertise. I want you to listen to this keenly, to produce a comprehensive and independent report of its findings in November 2023. The Crowd report has confirmed that the suspected fraudulent activity and mismanagement at SSL and its related parties were much broader than initially understood. With the benefit of this report, their own investigation, and through collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, the FID has publicly reported that a file, I want you to pay attention to particularly this paragraph, that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the consideration of criminal charges against individual linked to the SSL network of companies or the companies pursuant to the Proceed of Crime Act, Larceny Act, and financial sector legislation. Take that away. Now, Brother Andy and panel, let me show you what is happening in the space. Now, I am going to get to our next report and show you what the DPP is doing. And this is the primary reason while Andrew Holness is bringing back the DPP. The fight for the DPP extension is this particular case. Because this particular case is going to open all the can of worms. It is going to expose the persons who were recommended to be charged. It is going to expose everything, right? If you have fear and transparency into that investigation. Now, let me say this to you. I am going to give you, to show you. This is one of the reasons why I came out and I showed you what the Constitution embedded the power on the DPP, which the Prime Minister knows, that the DPP can start a case and finish a case at will. This is the case that the DPP is going to finish at will. And this is what I am saying as it relates to Jamaica moving forward, is to go back, revisit that Constitution, revisit Section 94, subsection 3A. Look, and that being given to the DPP. The DPP need an oversight committee independent of the politics, so that when the DPP is going to dispose of cases, right, at will, the DPP need to explain based on the limits of the law, right, and based on procedures. So, Andy, look what happened next. I am going to show you. Now, let me explain something. Jeannette Calder, the Minister of Finance, said this case is too wide. It's too complex. The Jamaican authority cannot handle it. So Jeannette Calder used taxpayers' money, millions of dollars, to pay Claude, the forensic expert, to come in Jamaica, investigate along with FID. And they came, investigated with FID, done the report, a comprehensive report, and recommended charges, and send it to the DPP's office. Now, Andy, I am going to show you.
That's where the problem is.
Yes, but Andy, I'm going to show you what the DPP is doing with that particular report. And Paul Llewellyn return to the DPP office is particular.
Let me interrupt you.
Yes.
This whole process is flawed from the beginning. We had a Directorate of Special Operations, very effective. They were called the Scorpions. They were part of law enforcement in South Africa. It was successful because it was prosecutions led. In an event of this nature, where, let me stick to SSL, you can get as much investigators or forensic experts as much as you want. If the investigations is not prosecutions or are not prosecution led, we are just wasting time. The DPP and the government and all those who are blowing hot air about this or that being government ministers and officials. I'm saying this out of respect, and respect does not mean that I will withhold my opinions on their fish and chips thinking and fish and chips operations. I'm not going to hold that fire from the guns of justice and reality. No, I'm not going to do that. They were supposed to have welcomed the best forensic investigators from the world, twin them with prosecutors. When you have the prosecutors working hand in glove with those forensic investigations, already the charges would have emanated from there. You would not need the DPP to then go and decide because he or she woke up on the left, there's no case. Because he or she woke up on the right, then there's a strong case against one of us on this podcast, and therefore you're going to be prosecuted. or
Selective
it's
justice.
a mini, more kind of an experience that you use as a tool to arrive at the guilty one and the one who's not guilty. From the onset, forensic investigators were supposed to have been led by prosecutors. That process would have led to, if the prosecutor has criminal intentions, it would have exposed himself, because forensic investigators would find this and they would put it before the prosecutor, and the prosecutor would say, this is fraud, here is money laundering, this is theft. And they would work hand in glove to build up a solid case, so that from there, it goes straight to the courts of law for prosecution to happen. The DPP would not, out of his or her wisdom from King Solomon's suitcase or toolbox, you would not pick up a hammer of wisdom and use it to knock confusion into our heads. No, the DPP would be presented by charges that have been brought up, established by the forensic investigators, working hand in glove or being led by prosecutors. That's how the Special Operations Unit or Directorate in South Africa operated. And let me tell you, I have seen this. Wilfred knows this. It was very, very effective. When they came to your house, dragging the files, your act liver files, you would know that you are in trouble, because the investigation is complete.
Exactly. Now, Andy, I'm going to show you how the DPP is responding towards this case. Unbelievable, right? And I have other sequence of cases where she, rule in a way to benefit, right, the incumbent government. So let us move to this other document, right, to show Andy and the panel, right, how the DPP respond to this. It's amazing. And this is one of the reasons why we are saying that we need to revisit the constitution, that law that give this DPP such wide power. Now, this is it, Andy, right? After Kroll had completed, right, their investigation along with FID, right, and send the file to the DPP. This is what the DPP say now. Incomplete file delaying ruling on further charges in SSL case. DPP,
what does incomplete file mean? What does incomplete file mean?
Exactly, Andy. But we're going to read it and break it down, because this is foolishness. Published Friday, March 22nd, 2024. Here's the DPP office. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has clarified that it has not made a ruling on whether further charges should be laid in the Stocks and Security Limited, right, SSL fraud case, because it is still awaiting outstanding documents from the Financial Investigation Division. So right here is telling you in every sense of the word that Paula Llewellyn, you understand, want to throw away this case, because a comprehensive report, right? A comprehensive report. Remember that they went out and get the forensic expert. Paula Llewellyn is not the expert. She's not the expert. So if you have the expert who completed the report and gave her the report, what more does she need? But let us read on. This week, opposition leader Mark Golding, so this is the opposition, suggested the office was dragging its feet, and Mark Golding is right, in relation to the delivery of a ruling.
What documents are outstanding? If you say there's a document outstanding, you then need to explain to me and say it's document Alpha Romeo 001
Exactly.
And Alpha Romeo 001 addresses fraud, addresses theft, addresses money laundering, addresses human trafficking, addresses rape, addresses murder, and those elements that are brought up for this discussion would then inform the number of millions or the number of people informed. When you say the documents are outstanding, which documents? So
Which
that we
document?
can then be in a position to can apply our mind. Like I said, if this investigation was prosecutions led, it would have yielded those, it would have ensured that your FID brings those documents. I am going to assume and leave it there that what the DPP is saying, there is some further evidence that has not been brought to the fore. So if there is no further evidence brought to the fore, the DPP needs to say, we need evidence that deals with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. FID, please provide us with evidence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a space of 7 days. I am assuming that this case is a priority case in Jamaica. Like
Exactly.
some of us who are into research and spending a lot of time on matters of this nature, so that we can advise at the end of the day. We should be able to hear from the office of the DPP the number of days or the number of weeks or the number of months or the number of years that the DPP is giving to the FID to make those documents available. I'm interested in, as time goes on, in finding out what is so difficult in instructing through the relevant channels, through the relevant sections of the Constitution, through Parliament, through the portfolio committee responsible for policing in that space, to say, Minister, please talk to your investigators. We would like to have that file and that or those documents in a space of a month. What are you saying? Like I said earlier on, when you say the file is incomplete and there are no documents, you should be able to say, I'm expecting those documents in 7 days or in a month's time. That's what we should be saying. Anything else contradicts and flouts and flies against the face of logic and the face of the processes. Why is it that you're not effecting the processes as prescribed in Section 94 of the Constitution that speaks to how your office must make decisions? Remember, we don't make decisions from our talk to me. You know, your talk to me is that little pocket on your trouser, just beneath your belt. That small little, we call it talkie in South Africa. You don't make decisions from that pocket. You make decisions based on the process. And if the process is flawed, it means one thing. People like us, when we put professionalism aside, will just say that particular individual is not fit for purpose, is not fit to can be the DPP. If you are not able to say, I'm looking for that document in 7 days, then you are not fit for purpose.
All right, let me just bring other persons in the space, right, to speak. Maria, right, you want to take a bite out of this before we go further?
Okay, well, the thing is, when you talk about the DPP, it's the Director of Public Prosecution, and the operative word there is public. Yes. And so far, she has not been doing the job of the public. Her job is really to serve the people of Jamaica and to work on their behalf, because in truth and in fact, she is being paid by the taxpayers of Jamaica. And so far, what you have seen is that she has a pension. She can put away people on using circumstantial evidence. But when she has real evidence in front of her to prosecute a case, as long as that person lives above halfway tree or is considered a member of the upper class, then those same laws doesn't apply. She doesn't apply the same pressure as she would if the persons were, you know, from poorer communities, rural, urban, those communities. And what has been happening recently with, you know, her being given an extension and all of that begs the question, who is she there to protect? Because so many cases that have come across her desk have gone nowhere. There are so many persons, you know, when you ask about her prosecutor, what she has accomplished as a prosecutor since that she has been in office. She has a dismal record. So you have to ask the question, why then is she there? There's so SSL is one problem. You have other persons who have run afoul of the law, ministers, members of parliament, other persons within society, and they don't get the same treatment. When you think of the Representation of People's Act as well, and when you see people's constitutional rights are being violated, even by the DPP, who has said, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with the cartel case, Dr. Andy, where he was acquitted at the Privy Council because his constitutional rights were violated. It is not a matter of whether or not he was guilty of the crime that he was accused of. What was the infraction was that he knew that there was juror tampering. There was, right? And instead of dissolving that juror and impaneling another one, she allowed the case to go on and said on the radio that of a fact she has done that before. So his constitutional rights were violated. So when you think of all the things that she has done that has not been in the interest of the people, though she's the director of public prosecution, you have to ask then, what purpose does she serve? If not for the people, why is she there? Because it's in the best interest of the people to have somebody there who will apply the law fairly, in an unbiased way, to represent in the interest of the masses, of everybody, but not in the interest of a few. And that is what we see coming here. As a matter of fact, you see, when you look at all the cases that have come before her, you see hints of corruption everywhere. And the truth is, Jamaica has a corruption problem because it is eating at the very fabric of the society as a whole. The spirit of the people have been so damaged because of corruption. Everywhere you look is corruption. But the only people who pay for whatever corruption they commit are you know, when they're on the fall of the law, are those who are, you know, below a certain economic standard. If you fall within a certain economic standard, you can be held accountable. Anybody else is not held accountable, and we have to ask her, what's the purpose then for being there? And you know, in listening to Dr. Andy speak, I have a question for him. If you had to deal with some of the reports coming out of Jamaica in terms of what's facing the Director of Public Prosecutions, the integrity report where you have a Prime Minister who has 28 bank accounts, what would be your first order of business in terms of trying to hold people accountable? Because clearly there's an accountability problem here. How would you approach it?
One, listening to your brief input puts some interesting ways in my analysis. I would sit here and say, what is the weakness in the process? The weakness is the DPP. Is there a way in which the DPP can be privately prosecuted for dereliction of duty, for not sticking to the Constitution? Because the conduct is criminal itself. If you cannot be fair fair in the way you carry yourself out. And fairness is prescribed in a process that finds its way out of the Constitution and subsections of the Constitution, finding expression in regulations that makes sure that this or that law is carried out. It means there's criminality there. And I listen to you seriously so, because I was searching in my mind, what would someone do 2,500 years ago? That gentleman would say to me, move only when there's an advantage in the space of your weaknesses and strengths. And in this case, the individual is a problem. Forget about the person who's 2 million bank accounts received money. Look at the one who's enabling that individual to escape prosecution. And that particular person who is allowing that individual to get a breath of fresh air illegally and unlawfully so would be the DPP. So I'm searching in my mind. Can't the people of Jamaica go and look for a certificate of prosecuting the DPP or charging the DPP once again with dereliction of duty, if I can put it, for the want of a better way, so that you target the grass, you startle the grass so that the snake must come out of that grass, and then you can then be able to crush the head of the snake. In this case, the head of the snake is the DPP. If the DPP can say to the people of Jamaica and the world, and those of us who are having interest in what transpires in that part of the world, if the DPP can say, I am looking for document X, and juxtapose what she wants, juxtapose that with what the law says. The law says, give me document X in 4 days, give me document X in 2 weeks. We would then be able to say, yeah, you are doing what they expected to do. But for now, the DPP is not able to say, give me the document in 4 days. What does the law, what are the regulations saying in that regard? Dereliction of duty here comes into play because you know you are supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you are not doing it. And that conduct is criminal by itself. And we would then need to say, you have conducted yourself criminally here, and here are the elements of crime. And therefore, we would want to place you before a judge who would then be able to say, you are not fit for purpose, pack your bags and close the door on your way out. Anything else is going to get us to talk and talk and talk and talk with no result. And these shenanigans are designed to get us to be angry and calm down. They are designed to get us to be emotional about this or that. It is not designed to get to the facts that you spoke so well about of accountability and doing what you're expected to do. Anyone who violates the Constitution commits a crime. You and I know that very well. So here's someone who's committing a crime, and the people of Jamaica needs to vote that prime minister and his cabinet and anyone else out of office, so that when they're out of office, you can prosecute them without anyone shielding them, including the DPP. When she gets out of office, someone must viciously go after her, so that anyone else who would come into that office would know that if I commit wrong against the Constitution and the people, they will come to me. In actual fact, make sure that she does not have pension. Make sure that what is due to her within the confines of the law is taken from her using the instruments of the law. There's no way in which you can allow someone to commit wrong because she's the DPP. Like I said, she's not the deputy Jesus Christ. She's not the deputy to God. She's not like some deputy God. No, 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 no. The deputy to Jesus Christ. No. She must do what she's expected to do. I am not being arrogant or disrespectful or holding her in contempt. With me, you either do right or you do wrong. And when you do wrong, you're out of the space that I operate from. And if I'm providing strategy, I would say, if you were my clients now, I would say let's look at the weaknesses of the DPP. What are the weaknesses of the DPP? And obviously, focus on the weaknesses of the DPP. And I'm definitely sure that not only social media would also help in the regard of weaknesses, like the weakness where you say the documents, you have not received documents from FID and you don't know which documents you are looking for. You are not fit for purpose. You need to say, I need document A, B, C, D, E. Then we will know that you are fit for purpose. And you will go on to say, I need document A, B, C, D, E by next week, Thursday, or on the 5th of January. Which is incidentally my birthday, the 5th of January. I would celebrate my birthday with yourselves and say, yeah, the DPP is working. I'll send you a piece of the cake that I've bought. I'll just ship it to Jamaica, even if it arrives 3 months later. But that would be a piece to say, enjoy my birthday. And I realize that you are performing excellently. So share my birthday and that kind of stuff. So long story short, someone is not doing a job, and I'm not afraid to say it, that you are not fit for purpose. And should any of you become DPPs, be fit for purpose. The world is sick and tired of conflict, particularly people who are struggling. I am sure that the people of Jamaica, like the people of Lesotho, the people of South Africa, Africans are struggling all over the world. And we must stop this thing. It doesn't matter whether it's in South Africa or in Jamaica. We have same experiences. We must stop this nonsense. The DPP, nonsense meaning something that does not have sense, something that does not make sense, not intended to be an insult. And unfortunately, what we are discussing here shows no sense at all, which is nonsense.
Well said, well said. We love that you call a spade, right? Hitting the nail on the head. We thank you for that delivery there. I'm going to have Jamaics in this space because we have Brother Rattigan to come up and deals with the 20 account, and you are going to see even more amazing things when Brother Rattigan touch that. You're going to see the Prime Minister during the period of 2020 to 2023, $470 million going through various accounts, 28 accounts, Andy. And, you know, as it relates to his 2021 statutory declaration, look at this, Andy. Look on the great disparity that in 2021, the Prime Minister's statutory declaration as it relates to total income, assets, and liability, is saying that the Prime Minister income, assets, and liability is $171 million. While in the same breath, during the period of 2020 to 2023, the Prime Minister have $470 million running through. So we are going to reveal all of that to you. So let me just make Jamaica come in this space, and then we leave the floor to Rattigan to explain that.
Thank you for the opportunity. First question, Mr. Mashele, did you speak? Did you speak to the man for me? That's the first thing, man. Did you speak to the man for me?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you ever so much. You spoke very, very importantly about I am not black. And a lot of people, I don't think they realize what you were saying back then, just now when you said that. And that goes way than just the words that you have said. It reminds me of the words of Marcus Garvey, and he spoke about a people without a knowledge of their past origin and their
Yes.
culture is like a tree without root. And by you saying that you are not black, it's just like every other race, as you people might say, will say that they're Chinese, they're Europeans, Indians, and we don't say that we're Africans. That is very, very important because we are indeed Africans and not a color, right? We're a set of people. And I hear you speak, and it's quite intelligent. I have a question for you, but just before I go to the question, I look at, I like that Mystic and also Mr. Rattigan able to bring the diversity so that we can compare, right? So when you speak about just Jamaica, people will think that, oh, you're just saying. But when you have other places to compare to, then what comes out on top is professionalism and also the process, the proper process, and that is very, very important. So when Mr. Rattigan, when Mystic and you come out, and also Miss Daisy Magazine come out and identify these discrepancies, it is the first part of problem solving by identifying
Yes.
the problem. Yeah, and then we go on with the solution, follow through, and then we follow up. But we're in an important stage to identify, and that takes courage. So when you come here and you identify these discrepancies, thank you ever so much. And when I hear, I want to ask the DPP, why is it that you are bad at your job and then you're asking the Jamaican people to reward you? Because in the case of Mark Barnett, right, you statute of limitation comes in play. And you earlier, you spoke about, that's hers. Earlier she spoke about working with investigator diligently to prevent those things, yet still that is something that happened in your case. So therefore, you have failed the Jamaican people. You have failed the Jamaican people on many, many occasions. And then when we look at it, you have selective justice. And when you have corruption, yeah, corruption been going over and over, it shows that it's from a high level. And when you have an high level of corruption, then everybody else suffer from this. And this
Jamaica,
is been seen.
Jamaica, let me engage in a dialogue with you and say, I love you guys on the panel. You talk nice English. You say money has gone out of accounts. You feel the people of Jamaica. Nice English. Let's talk English from the alleys there. In St. Vincent and in Alexander and where I am now in Beckerstadt. You have committed a crime against the people of Jamaica. If they gave you a job that is prescribed by the Constitution, you don't do it. It's a criminal offense. 1. 2, my brother changing money that goes into the accounts and trailing, that's money laundering. We need to use the power of words to get to the point. That's money that has been laundered. Explain to us why you have 28 accounts. And explain to us what is the purpose of money going from bank account number 1 to bank account 17. Why can't you have 1 or 2 accounts, bank accounts that you put your money in? What is the intention of the 22 accounts? Do you think that you are do you think that we are like the weather, we are cantankerous, we are confused? No, we will never be like the weather. So Jamites, I interrupted you to say, I like your nice English, but I prefer the street language. I'm from the streets, Somebody commits crime, it's crime, Jamites, my brother. That's all. That particular person has committed a crime against the people of Jamaica, and the people of Jamaica find themselves in what you call the Constitution. A constitution is a form of energy. That form of energy, we are the ones who are vibrating the energy into the Constitution. You and I know that energy does not travel in straight lines. It travels in waves. And the people on this panel are part of that wave that that is traveling between us and the Constitution. The Constitution is the spirit of the people of Jamaica. If you don't like me for what I say and you are holding public office, go and fly. And if you are going to come for me, I will come for you too. So long story short, this is not violence or militant speak. This is real speak that shows the frustration of the people of Jamaica and the rest of the world. And by the way, I grew up listening to Bob Marley, to Peter Tosh, to the rest of the people when it was dark in this country. I'm telling you, each and every house know Bob Marley. We know Peter Tosh. We know Living Banuela. We know the Wailers. We know quite a lot of people. And now I've suddenly become a fan of Capleton and his rough voice. So long story short, Jamaica, I wanted you to say the people are committing a crime. They don't fail the people of Jamaica. I'm supposed to give you advice on this matter. And one of the things, language is very important to me and the words that we use. If you fail the people of Jamaica because they have put you there legally and lawfully, you have committed a crime. There are elements of crime. The Constitution says do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you do X, Y, Z, which is not what the Constitution says. It's a criminal offense. I know I interrupted you, and my apologies. At school I used to be slow, so I talk for a long time because I take quite some time to, and I understand you slowly.
let me tell you, man. You have all right to interrupt, and your point is well taken, man. And it's true. We have to say it as it is. As the dog passed by, we can't call it a cat. It's a dog. So they're being committed criminal offenses, and it needs to stop. They must be held accountable. And in order for Jamaica to get better, we need to point it out and say, hey, egg the pound of face, who has been stealing from the Jamaica and have been committing criminal offenses. And I completely understand you. My question for you, what is needed for the framework for the IC, the Integrity Commission, to be better or more effective? Also, if you could just give me 3 points that we can use to improve the Integrity Commission moving forward.
The Integrity Commission, because it deals with corruption and maladministration, one needs to have experts, and those experts would be people with sizable experience. 2, those people must work hand in glove, or they must employ former prosecutors. 2, 3, the Integrity Commission in their investigation must actually, like I have said earlier on, all the other things where there's corruption, where there's maladministration, where there are serious offenses to be investigated, must be prosecutions led. And the DPP, for you to curtail the powers of the DPP as enshrined in Section 94 of your Constitution, finding expressions in sub-regulations or subsections X, Y, Z that you have mentioned, subsection 3 of Section 94, specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, specifically gives you how you must do things, when you must do things. When you have prosecution-led investigations, the DPP is not the only person that must decide. I feel like vomiting when an individual will decide on serious matter out of the pockets of her overcoat, out of his or her pocket of the trench coat that he's wearing. If he or she is wearing a blue trench coat, then there's royalty. If he or she is wearing a black trench coat, then there's pain and gnashing of teeth for those individuals that are involved. No, all prosecutions, all investigations must be led by prosecutors working hand in glove with investigators. When by so doing, you know that the DPP cannot say, no, yes, no, yes, I have applied my mind. No, yes, I need to apply my mind. No, when prosecutors are involved in any investigation, the DPP does not even have to recommend. The DPP rubber stamps the investigation because his or her team has been involved in the workings. I don't expect the DPP to be running around the streets leading investigations. She's got people, or he's got people that are responsible for doing what she's expected to do. She is supposed to be the figurehead. The people on the ground, the people on the ground in the various offices given expertise in field A or field B are the ones who are supposed to make sure that they carry a mandate into an investigation. I am worried to think of this situation where if the prosecutors working hand in glove with investigators were to say something that she does not agree with, she would fire those prosecutors. You don't want to think of that eventuality. You want the DPP, Jamites, you want the DPP to be able to deploy people in spaces that would make decisions that she has to take simple and easy. Jamaica.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're mute, Mystic. You're muted.
Oh, yes. Well said, Andy and Jamaica, for that delivery. Right. Jamaica, you have any further comment?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your comment.
Yes. I also want to ask, what is the rush? Because Jamaica having a constitutional reform, right? Why is it that why was the to change the law in Jamaica for this lady rush through the parliament, sorry, and the opposition didn't get a chance to debate it? What is the rush? You understand?
This is the reason for the rush, Jamaica. 10% of the people of the world are the controllers. When the controllers are exposed to, remember I said 85% of the people of the world are willing to be led to the slaughterhouse, are willing to be led, and 10% of the people of the world are leading them. I'm talking about the Elon Musk, the billionaires of the world. I've got nothing against Elon Musk. I'm just making an example. The presidents, the popes of the world, the mayors of the world constitute 10% of the people of the world who are controlling. 5%, I deliberately left it out. 5% are the watchers, people like yourself. The watchers who look at the value chain and justice and fairness. Now, you're asking me the question, what is the rush? The rush is to ensure that 10% of the people of the world remain in power. If you were to find that the DPP is kicked out and you find one of you becoming the DPP, what do you think? What do you think the Prime Minister or those who are involved, who are accused of corruption, will do? They know that you are going to send them to jail. Do I want to be sent to jail by people like you? I'm looking at your facial expressions. I can see that you can create a lot of pain on a lot of people's faces, and they're watching you, some of them. They know that if you were to go after them, they will never see the light of day. So they will never want to see people like yourselves sitting in those offices and ensuring that you lock them out of their comfort zones or their offices. The rush, Jamaica, is to make sure that there's no prosecution. And by the way, someone has just asked a question about the young kids who died as a result of the tuck shops, food poisonings, and that kind of stuff. the case is being investigated just for that individual who's sent a message, ask a question. The cases are being investigated. They are now foreign nationals. The Pakistanis who are into this country and the Chinese and the many others have been given a deadline and extension to register their shops, because basically these people operate from the garages, sell their food or their products from there. So the kids died as a result of Tabifos. Tabifos, it's an insecticide, very dangerous. So long story short, I know that this is off kilter because of the subject that we're sharing. I thought I should share it with you because when people talk about children, they also talk about the children of Jamaica who are not being benefited correctly and properly so by the 10% of people of the world who wants to control us and escape prosecution.